So the word Moor derives from the Latin word mori, which is to describe northern Africans. Another variation of the word was moreno or morano, or having dark complexion if translated. The term Moor originated as a term just to describe Muslims, but Europe had it as a derogatory term just to describe people with black complexions, as I just said before. A good example of this, of a literature figure, would be Shakespeare himself. Shakespeare used to write about Moors all the time, and will often call them black Moors. The Romans mean Moor. They're referring to the Morocco people or the Berber people. Now, because it was a derogatory term that was used back then does not mean all Berber people were suspectly of Negro descent or were black. Africa itself can fit the United States, China, and India in it, all in one. So don't be mistaken, the people were very diverse. The majority going from either black to white and all the way to brown, which the majority of them were. Moors ruled Europe for about 700 years. They brought mathematicians, literature, sea travel, constellations, paper, art, architecture, public baths, hot air ducts for the winter, and even invented deodorant. A great example of Moors being brown people would be in ancient Rome or Pompeii. In Pompeian portraits, they portrayed men as darker and women as lighter. This was because men did the architecture, hunting, and women were supposed to take care of women and be inside. So therefore, the more manly trait would be to be darker. That's where the white agenda comes from. Arabic or Muslim literature was translated in places like Toledo, Spain, and able to get transformed to Latin because that was a tongue mostly used in Europe at that time. You do not hear very much about Muslim Spain because the year Christianity came into Spain and took over 700 years of Muslim rule, the first slaves came to America and they were black Moors. A better example of Moors teaching Spain and Romans literature and art would be in Constellation itself. Mansa Musa, or the richest Muslim in history, Mansa Musa's predecessor, founded America. Greeks and Romans translated his name into Atlas, so they called him King Atlas. King Atlas is also named after the Atlas Mountains, the Atlantic Sea, and Atlantis itself. The story of Atlantis is Mansa Musa's predecessor finding America. Plato himself said he got the story from Solomon, who got it from Egyptian priests on the creation story of Egypt. But the term Berber comes from the indigenous people of Africa before European influence and before Arabic influence. That's why it was a derogatory term.